to La Voz de Latea. My name is Miguel Treyes, and I'm the co-executive director and artistic director of Teatro Latea. Today, we have a very special guest, Jan Kus, from the Slavo Rican Assembly. Welcome, Jan. How are you?
Hello, Miguel. Hello, everybody. I'm good. I'm very good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no. We are delighted. We are very pumped because, as you may know, and if you don't know, please go to our website, teatroatea.org. We have a series called Jazz at Latea. Miguel Zenon presenta. And Miguel Zenon is an award-winning sax player. With credentials that are too long to cite here.
That's true.
And he's a very generous musician because he's created a program here at Latea where he invites up-and-coming players, people that are out there getting jazz out, and then he joins them on the second set with his alto sax. So the next iteration of Miguel Zenon Presenta, here, Jazz at Latea, is with Jan Kus and the Slavo Rican Assembly, and it's this 30th of November, right after Thanksgiving. These guys are going to be here getting it on at Latea. We're going to start at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
8 o'clock is the
That's
time. And we just wanted to talk a little bit, took a little jazz with Jan at Latea. Talk to me, I mean, the title Slavo Rican Assembly by itself is such a beautiful and exciting thing. How did you come up with this assembly, man?
Well, thanks a lot. First of all, I'm glad you like the name. I heard from many people that it's quite catchy. The way this got created was by some luck or cosmic fate or something. I started playing more and more with the Puerto Rican jazz crew here in New York and the Latin jazz crew. I'm still a member of the Fernando Garcia band.
By the way, Fernando Garcia played here at Latea.
Yeah,
that's a great show. We had a great show with Fernando. That was kick-ass.
I was on it, right? Yeah. I just making sure. So that's kind of how I got into this whole group, And in Fernando's band, I'm actually the only non-Hispanic person. But the joke, because I'm originally from Slovenia, but the joke goes that I'm already like around 25% Puerto Rican by osmosis by now. Just by spending time with them, I'm like, every year I'm a little bit more Puerto Rican. So I started joking like, so what does that make me? Does that make me a Slovenian, a Puerto Rican, a Slavo Puerto Rican? And then I was like, wow, Slavo Rican, that's kind of cool. And then, first it started like a joke. Then I had a quartet in which 2 out of 4 musicians were Puerto Rican too, so I kind of started that as a running joke on our shows, and I noticed that it's catching on quite a lot. And then I started thinking that maybe I could develop this into a full concept, and it actually made all the sense in the world because I've always been very inclined to like music that's emotionally impactful. I always looked for that element in whichever music I liked. I always wanted something like some root of some emotion, something that moves you. And I find both of those musical traditions to be very emotional, and the catchphrase that I use for this group is like Slavic melancholy with in a Caribbean rhythm.
What's your instrument, Jan? What's your instrument?
I play the saxophone actually. So,
oh my God! So you and Miguel are gonna like get it on in the second
I'm
set.
already scared. Like, no, I mean just a quick thing. Like, it's such an honor for me to be invited to this concert series by the great Miguel Zenon. It's kind of like, I'm from a small city in Slovenia. This is crazy, and I always wanted to play in a Latin band, and now I play in Fernando's band, and I got to meet Miguel there because he recorded with us on the album. Then he did that fantastic show that you mentioned here this year rather. I don't even know. Time is relative in New York, but it's such an honor to be invited by him to perform in this series.
Well, we are very honored that you're here from Slovenia, playing with those Latin cats and making up this Slovenian, like hyphenated band. Talk to me. I'm curious now. I mean, because it's a totally unscripted podcast. It's just a dialogue with artists such as yourself. What is the jazz scene like in Slovenia? Because now that's when I'm like fascinated. Like, how do you come to jazz in Slovenia? What's the jazz scene like in Slovenia? And when are you going to take the Slavo Rican Assembly down to Slovenia?
Well, we actually went there. We were there this summer. We played a big tour, including a few big festivals. We played at Ljubljana Jazz Festival, where the same festival that Snarky Papi, for example, played this year. and we played at the Sax Go Congress in Nova Gorica, where Kenny Garrett played a few days after us. So it was it was such an experience for me, because like this group actually includes like almost all of my best friends, all of my musician best friends, and my girlfriend. So we're like a family, and it was such a great experience to bring all of them to Slovenia, for them to meet my family, my friends from high school, and But to get back on,
the scene, man. What's the scene, the jazz scene in Slovenia like?
So honestly, I haven't really been there for a while now, because I did my undergrad in the Netherlands. That's kind of where I first got the bug for like Latin jazz, because there was a lot of Cuban musicians there, and like the school was the academic part, but the cool part was every Thursday night there was a really nice Latin jazz session. Like Pernel Saturnino lived in The Hague too. He played with David Sanchez a lot. And I was roommates with the trombone player Santiago Cañada, who plays in Concha Buica's band now. And he got me into this whole thing, and Alain Perez and, Jerry Gonzalez and everything. So I started playing that over there already, but I haven't been in Slovenia for quite a while, because I did my undergrad there. Then I came back to Slovenia for a year and a half. We were running an institute with some friends there. We started, developing some things. But then quite quickly after that, I came to New York, and I've been here for 8 years. The one interesting thing that I can say is obviously there's a lot of great musicians in Slovenia, a lot of very talented young musicians, a lot of nice festivals. There is some support from the government. There could always be more, but an interesting part of my story, for example, growing up in Slovenia, is that the great Reggie Workman, who's John Coltrane's ex-bass player, he used to be married with a Slovenian dance choreographer. And they did Maja Milenovic Workman is her name, or I'm not sure if she kept the last name now, but they did like a series of dance and music workshops back in Slovenia in like 2003 and 4, I believe. And that's where I completely, got the jazz bug. Like I already was very much into it, and into Wayne Shorter and into John Coltrane. And there I was like sitting, with a guy who recorded the original footprints and who recorded all those albums and was a part of the Coltrane Quartet. And that I think I was like 15 at the time, and I decided like I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to be a jazz saxophone player. So Reggie
you've gotten around here in New York. I saw you've even played Carnegie Hall at this point, right?
Yeah, that was like we weren't like the main act, in all honesty, but like it was a pretty unbelievable experience to play there.
When was that?
I think it was in 2017 in
Cool.
April. It was an event that featured like many musicians, and we were
but
one
it's
of the
like
bands.
that. You get there like as a secondary act, and one day you'll be the main liner,
Yeah,
man.
hopefully.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, what are you thinking about? So here we have this very modest series, even though we got Miguel, who's galactic, right? So we have our little modest series here at Latea. So what do you want to tell the people that are listening and the people that might join us? I really invite you to come. This November 30th. Like people, you've eaten your turkey, you hung out with the family, or you're maybe visiting New York, and you're gonna like get it on with us here at Latea, Jazz at Latea. What is your ambition or your hope for that night? What do you want to put on, man?
Yeah, honestly, I really think it's going to be a pretty special night, because obviously Miguel is joining us, and we have another special guest that I probably don't
say it.
Don't say it. Yeah,
surprise.
But it's really special, and it's three people actually.
Okay. Wow.
In that formation, whatever it is.
Wow. Any of them Cuban? Some Cubans in the house?
We have a Cuban piano player.
All right.
Our piano player is Cuban, and we're like three. The original lineup is like 3 Slovenians, 3 Puerto Ricans, and a Cuban. Now we have a few substitutes, so it's a little different. But I'm really looking for it being a special night, because a lot of our friends are coming, and we will have this kind of intercultural clash here, and Miguel will join us, and then the other guests are more on the Slavo side. I'll just give you this hint. So I'm looking for a really interesting night. I think it will be like a very special performance.
Now, I asked you for a little cut, so at the end of this, because you're a musician and we admire your work, and we're really excited about this evening and your generosity of spirit and bringing together the Slavic and the Latin and the Caribbean, the Latin, the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans. So tell me something. This cut that we're going to play, we'll be done with our interview and we'll just play that. What is the title?
The title is Moving Up. And that's interestingly enough, like we had like a Balkan brass band back home still when I was in Slovenia.
Wait,
We-
a Balkan brass band.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's the thing, Balkan brass. You know,
Okay.
that's like the Fanfare Chokarlija or Boban Markovic Orchestra, or if you saw any Kusturica movies, they're
Mhm.
often featured there. But we did it like, because we were the kids, you know, they grew up with jazz and at the conservatory, so we were looking for a little bit more jazz sophisticated version of that. So we were like a jazz brass band, like jazz Balkan brass, you know what I mean? Like Balkan brass, but with like more complex harmonies and stuff. So I wrote this song for the ensemble, and we never got to record it because it was too damn difficult. It was really complicated. And then when the Slavo Rican assembly was already up and running, it hit me. I was like, wow, wait a minute. And this was, this was 7 years, this was like 9 years ago. This was before I moved to New York even.
Really, the
there's-
composition of moving up
So,
is,
so the
is 9 years
Slavorican
ago.
wasn't even on the horizon
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
But then looking at it now from this perspective, I was like, wow, dude, this is actually like you had this sound in mind already before, because it's really, when you'll hear it, both the elements are pretty obvious. Like there's got this kind of Balkan melody and a rhythm, odd meter to it, but it's also with a montuno. So it's like a montuno in
Ooh.
17/4. So it's like, and it's interesting that I was already thinking in that direction and that it came naturally. So yeah, when I had this amazing band with these amazing musicians together here, of course I decided to revive it, and they did such a fantastic job, and it's been a beautiful experience to record the song. And this is our first single actually from our upcoming album, which we recorded, like the rest of it we recorded last weekend. So I'm super excited about that. And
So I would like to leave you with the last word. I'd like you to present the song right now for our audience. Present the tune. We're gonna play it now. So it's like if you were a DJ, how would you like set it up?
Hola mi gente.
Hey, I like this guy, man.
No, just here is Slavo Rican Assembly with Moving Up. I hope you like it. Thank you very much for listening.